The onset of this pandemic made me realize the value of securing our lives, our families, and our future from uncertainties that life keeps throwing at us. But even though we've been dealing with the pandemic for more than a year, the question is this: do we still know how to deal with it? It impacts our life in so many ways: physically, mentally, socially, and financially. Hello and welcome to Live Sessions by HDFC Life, a space where we curate the best of information in an attempt to bring value through real conversations by bringing together experts, knowledge, and you. It's Insurance Awareness Day today, and what can be a better day to talk about the importance of securing our futures? Personally, it's a day that reminds me to be more aware of my loved ones and how I can protect their future and mine. Making resolutions and acting on them is the solution. That's where resolutions come in. But resolutions are something that we usually think about at the beginning of the year, right? This is about making small but relevant resolutions all year round. Taking small steps to consistently deal with problems around you and in order to move towards a better, more secure, happier future. Let me share a small story from my life. All of us tested positive for COVID. And while I was battling the illness, it made me far more sensitive to the devastation around me. Not just my family members, but everyone around me was dealing with a full-blown outbreak of the disease. And that made me make a resolution to continue my efforts to keep trying to make others' lives just a little bit easier. Be it giving a shout out to a small business, or amplifying people's requests for oxygen or hospital beds via social media, or maybe even just talking to someone in distress with an open heart. So once we take a step towards being more empathetic, it automatically sets us up to be a good start to securing the future of the people around us. So my resolutions are to accord maximum respect to healthcare workers, to support small businesses, to pay more attention to the aged and to children because they suffer the most, to offer whatever support I can, even a small phone call or a homemade meal, to anyone in my vicinity. And last, not the least, to make wiser choices with my money. Now, what about you? What can you do to secure your future? First and before anything else, it's about being and staying healthy. But do we even realize the value of our body? Today, to discuss precisely this, I have with us Professor Anupam Sibal from Apollo Hospitals. He's the Group Medical Director, Apollo Hospitals, and a senior pediatrician. He's also President, Global Association of Physicians of Indian Origin. Hello, Dr. Sibal. Welcome to Live Sessions.
Thank you, and hello to everyone. I hope you're all healthy and safe. We often say that our body is priceless. Well, we could say that, but there's an actual value that has been ascribed to our body. The notional value of a single human body, according to Professor Harold from Yale, is $6,000 trillion. Let me say that again, $6,000 trillion. And the reason for that is the brain contains 100 billion neurons. The human nose can detect over 1 trillion distinct scents. The heart pumps enough blood in an average lifetime to fill the fuel tanks of 56 moon rockets. Breathing 1 pint of air 17 times a minute, we take in 78 million gallons in an average lifespan. The liver can perform 500 different kinds of functions. Each kidney contains 1 million filters and pumps around 400 gallons of recycled blood every day. And there are more nerve cells in the human brain than there are stars in the Milky Way, and I can keep going on and on and on.
I never looked at it from this perspective. So please tell us, doctor, what are the things that we can actually do to stay healthy?
A few things that we can do to ensure that we stay healthy. Eat balanced, healthy meals. Balanced and healthy. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, this whole thing about I'm so busy in the morning, I'll just grab a cup of coffee and that's my breakfast is just so unhealthy. Dinner needs to be light, not heavy, and at least 2 hours before you go to bed. You have to have the right mix of carbohydrates, protein, vegetables, minerals, and vitamins. The meal needs to be consumed in a relaxed atmosphere. No TV, no iPad, no phone. Exercise is very important. 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week. You can take a day off on Sunday. Do the kind of exercise that makes you happy. Because do realize that during exercise, endorphins are released that will make you even happier if you're doing something that anyway makes you happy. No smoking. There's absolutely zero tolerance for this. No alcohol. But if you must, then it has to be minimal and it has to be social. Cut down on stress and pressure. Everyone out here is living in a pressure cooker kind of atmosphere. Re-examine your life, your priorities. And never forget that life is perfectly imperfect. Stop making it perfect. Appreciate it the way it is.
Yup, appreciate life the way it is. Very well put, Dr. Sybil. Could you also tell us how COVID has affected our lifestyle and what healthcare measures we must take in the new normal?
Now, with the pandemic, there has been a massive shift in our lifestyle. A lot of people have been working from home, leading a sedentary lifestyle, and often taking in more stress with this constant 24/7 meeting culture. This has led to an increase in a number of conditions: obesity, abnormal lipid profiles, high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes. And all these conditions, in many ways, are close cousins. Now, let's pause and look at COVID for a moment. If we look at individuals who got COVID and got into hospital, well, most of them had comorbidities. All those who got into ICU, the chances of them having a comorbidity was higher. And sadly, in those who didn't make it, there were comorbidities. So that in itself has highlighted the importance of controlling these conditions that are actually in our control. We've also seen mental issues come up. So in this new normal environment that we have, we need to focus more on our health than we ever did in the past.
Yes, of course, taking care of our health is so much more important now. Could you highlight the importance of regular health checkups at this time?
I cannot overemphasize the importance of timely health checks. As they say, a stitch in time saves 9. Take cancer, for instance, in India. Individuals with cancer present when they have stage 3 or stage 4 disease. So you need chemotherapy, you need radiation, and then perhaps you might need surgery. Whereas if the individual had presented in stage 1, then surgery alone would have been enough. The later the presentation, the worse the outcome. And that's really sad because a number of cancers are treatable. If detected early, can even be curable. So it's important to make an annual health check a ritual we strictly follow. Earlier on, we used to say start doing a health check at 40 or 35, but kind of lifestyle conditions that we are seeing in young Indians, perhaps the right age is 30. After 30, you must do an annual health check. Decide which month of the year, maybe it's the month of your birthday. Decide and then strictly follow that routine. And if there is significant family history, then one has to tailor make the kind of health preventive checkup that one must do. Now, if we look at hypertension, if it's detected early, well then you just, with lifestyle changes, exercise, and perhaps medication, you can control it and prevent progression to kidney disease and heart disease. If we look at abnormal lipid profiles, high cholesterol, if we don't detect it, don't manage it, it will produce heart disease over a matter of time. If we look at diabetes, if we don't control diabetes, then it's going to produce end organ damage. And diabetes is one disease that doesn't really spare any organs. So it's extremely important to pick it up early and bring in the changes that one has to manage it effectively so that the complications don't ensue. A preventive health check is critical, but is also something that we quite often do not appreciate, is that it connects you with the doctor, and for any doubt, any concern that you have, reach out to the doctor. I know a lot of information is available on the internet, but if you read information and then try and apply it to your life, quite often you will get very scared because the information out there does talk about a lot of serious conditions and one's mind automatically tends to imagine the worst. So talk to your doctor, connect with the doctor, and get the right information.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sybil. I, for one, am going to follow your advice and I'm going to add regular health checks to my resolutions. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so before we move on, we've got a few quick questions for you. I'll ask you the questions and you have to answer with the first thing that comes to your mind, okay? Okay, here's your very first question. What is the biggest health myth that people need to bust?
So, one of the biggest health myths that people think about, believe in, that we need to bust, and that is, let me sort out other issues in my life and after that I will focus on my health. No, please don't do that. Don't sort out other issues. First focus on your health, then sort out your other issues, because if you're healthy, all the other issues can be sorted. But if you sort other issues out but you in the process become unhealthy, then sorting those issues out is not really going to be that important.
Second question, starving yourself can be effective for weight loss. Myth or fact?
We have a lot of concern about losing weight. I will starve myself and I will achieve effective weight loss. Well, you'll achieve effective weight loss for a bit, but it's not going to last. So this is an absolute myth that we must bust.
If you exercise, you can eat whatever you want. Myth or fact?
No, if you exercise, you're doing that to achieve the right BMI, but you also have to be particular about what you take in. So it's a combination, right food and exercise. And just because you're exercising means you can eat anything? No, that's not true.
That was amazing, doctor. So any last thoughts that you have for our viewers, Dr. Sybil?
It's extremely important to smile, to be happy. You know, a toddler typically laughs out 300 times a day, and adults usually laugh about 15 times a day. So look at what happens to us from 300 to 15. So perhaps we need to change that, and if we change that, we will be a lot healthier too. We need to focus on holistic well-being. It's not just about physical health, it's about mental health, it's about social health, and all these aspects are very important.
That was amazing, Dr. Sybil. Your precious words will have a lot of impact on our listeners. Yes, smile more often. In addition to your physical health, overall wellness is also equally important in ensuring that we feel like our best selves. With so much negativity around us, it is also important to stay positive and strong. And to talk more about it, we have with us the absolutely amazing Lisa Ray. She's a supermodel, an accredited actress, an established author, and an indomitable human being who's emerged a winner against cancer. So over to Lisa. Hey Lisa! Hello all the way in Boston. How's it going?
Hi, Tiska. How are you? It's so great to be connecting across the world right now during these strange times.
That is true. That is so very true. So Lisa, given the uncertainty around, what do you do to stay positive?
Well, Tiska, that's a really relevant question today. And it's also a question that I've had to grapple with, having obviously battled cancer. When you are thrown such a curveball, as it were, as something like cancer, you tend to grapple with this idea that, life is not always going to roll out the way that you expect. So I think that making friends, as it were, with uncertainty has been one of the signature kind of events of my life that has really improved all areas of my life, really. And at the same time as well, alongside that, cultivating a positive mindset and aligning, I think, our values, one's values, with looking forward and looking towards something and away from all the negative connotations of what you're going through or the circumstances you're going through is very, very valuable. It's a valuable practice in today's world. And we're definitely seeing that with the situation that we find ourselves in. I really don't think that I could have managed to come out the other end of my cancer journey in a positive way either, though, were it not for the support of all of my loved ones, and sometimes also for the unexpected support of strangers. It's incredible that I think that when I shifted my mindset away from why me, why is this happening to me, to okay, well, why not me? Therefore, there must be a reason for this. And therefore, I'm going to treat this as a huge learning curve, as a lesson, and I'm going to get through it. I'm going to fight and I'm going to get through it and be able to share my story with everyone. As soon as I made that internal shift, I found that everything that I needed just arrived, you know. There were days, of course, where I was down in the dumps. There were days when I struggled. Absolutely. It wasn't all sort of a positive experience at all. However, on those days, oftentimes a stranger would fall into my life, whether it was a nurse or another patient, or I would receive a message from a stranger, just, excuse me, just inspiring me and infusing me with positivity and and courage. And you know, these little messages meant so much for me on my health journey that I would often then speak to these people and I would say, how do I repay the favor that you've paid me? I mean, you've really, really improved the quality of my life. Please tell me, how can I do the same for you? And do you know what they would tell me, Tiska? They would say, pay it forward. As in, try to have the same effect in somebody else's life. Try to affect somebody else positively. Try to take these tools that you're learning through this very difficult journey and share it with someone else, and therefore improve their quality of life. And I really took that to heart. And that's another, I guess, positive output, you might say, of you know, of circumstances that anyone else might think are very negative. But you know, I think that also reframing our experiences is a very, very valuable lesson that I'm seeing a lot of people are going through right now due to COVID. You know, we can always find something to complain about, and there is many things to complain about. There are many things to feel upset about. There are many things to grieve, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But at the same time, if we get lost in that, then we don't have the ability to look forward, to improve our lives, to say that actually I'm going to take this moment to practice compassion, to spend time with my family, to improve my quality of life, to improve my health, to eat better, to call up my friends and check on them, to help out strangers, you know. And therefore, you know, when we shift our perspective and say, this is an opportunity for me to improve my life and the life of those around me, it has an incredible ripple effect. And believe me, the satisfaction, the inner satisfaction that you get, there's nothing to match that.
How lovely. Such clarity of thought. I never imagined staying positive could be so simple yet beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. I have just one quick question for you. What are some of the resolutions that one would make to stay very strong?
I think I have to start personally with a gratitude practice, because I'm grateful for even waking up every single morning. You know, I should not be here today. And that has taught me to be grateful for everything around me. But now even that is overwhelming. So we have to simplify everything. So I have found that, you know, just writing down 3 to 5 things a day, and they can be simple things. It could be right now the sun on my face, you know. It could be this opportunity to talk and connect with like-minded people and to be able to spread a message of positivity. It could be obviously one of my children's smiles. It could be coffee in the morning. Anything. It could be also this gratitude that slowly India is healing, and that I'm healing, and that the world will heal, and that we'll come out of this hopefully stronger and more positive. Whatever is meaningful for you, the important thing is to write it down. And you know, sometimes I just write it down in my phone. Another really important thing is, again, connecting with friends and family. And not just, again, in a superficial way, but doing something that they enjoy. It's not always about you. It's incredible what happens when you start shifting the attention from this kind of egocentric me, what makes me happy, and start asking, but what makes you happy? How can I contribute to your happiness? Actually takes a lot of the burden off of, you know, all the sort of selfish activities that we do that we think are going to make us happy and actually don't end up lasting. So, I look at my kids, if they want to go outdoors and kick the ball around or something like that. And even if I'm, in the middle of something maybe, or feeling a little bit lazy and lackadaisical, I make myself do it. And again, their joy, their happiness is amplified 20 times in my heart. And so it makes it all worthwhile. So that's another really, really important resolution to staying strong and resilient, is looking at other people's happiness as well. And I think that, again, what we have to remind ourselves is that everything will pass. This too shall pass. And that was a really, really strong lesson for me when I was going through cancer, of course. Sometimes you're in the middle of the worst of times. There's that Dickens poem, these are the worst of times, these are the best of times. And even when you think you're going through the worst of times, that will not last. And I think that, again, this goes back to this idea of making friends with unpredictability. Buddhism talks about that a lot. And I find it very useful sometimes to read up on what some spiritual practices talk about. We have a lot of beautiful texts in India that will also give you a greater sense of resilience and how in our one human life we can experience so many things, and that we can use those things to grow, and that nothing ever is unchangeable. So there are many techniques like meditation, like yoga, that will help you make friends with that one important fact of life and build your resilience as well, so that you can handle all of the varying weather that is thrown your way.
Those are some amazing resolutions. Yep, we're all in this together, and we will just come out of it even stronger. Okay, what final thought would you like to leave our viewers with, Lisa?
I think it's really important to say that self-love is not selfish. There's a very important distinction. And we need to make our health a priority, and we need to then make ourselves a priority so that we are able to help others. And not just those around us, but our whole communities, our country, everything. So I like to always think of that every single morning. Self-love is not selfish. Make your health a priority.
A huge thank you to you, Lisa. That was great learning. Amazing how your journey is one of focusing on the self while also staying very kind to others.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I wish you also all the best. And I want to send out, again, a message of hope and strong resolutions to everybody out there. We will get through this.
Yes, of course we will. We will get through this. And while we talk about resolutions to stay strong, it seems like it's important to minimize stress in our everyday lives to really, really live our best possible lives. Getting on top of our finances is such a huge aspect of being stress-free. To talk a little bit more about that, we have with us Mr. Suresh Badami. He's the Executive Director at HDFC Life. Mr. Badami has rich experience in sales and business across various industries, specializing in banking and financial services. Welcome to the session, Mr. Badami.
Thank you, Tiska. I hope you and your family are doing well. These are difficult times. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me do the session. The pleasure is all mine. So much learning for me as well. Mr. Badami, could you tell us a little about the importance of securing our future?
So let me say a few things on this. Each one of us at different life stages of our life have our own goals. And many of us look at financial planning as part of that to make sure that the goals that we have thought through. Obviously we have a lot of things that we are aiming for, but clearly in terms of financial goals, whether it's in terms of saving enough to buy a house, or saving enough to have an independent retired life, or saving enough for a child's education. These are all very critical and important things. And many of us, in the daily rat race of life, whether it's in terms of the corporate life or whether it's in terms of the businesses that we manage, tend to forget and devote time to do very simple steps in terms of planning for our financial goals. So today we said, look, the idea is that it is important that each one of us firstly has our goals in life planned. Second, we think through in terms of what kind of financial planning is required, giving it based on our incomes, based on our risk profile, based on what time frame we are looking at, and of course, what kind of asset products that we are comfortable with. So, some of us will probably want to invest in gold, some may want to invest in property, some may want to invest in mutual funds, some may want to place, a little bit more risky profile, look at equity where, you are comfortable with your risk profile. But in all of this, you want to ensure that you have enough money by the time you reach that life cycle or that life stage in your life. So what tends to happen is at many times there is a gap between what you want at a particular stage and what were to happen if you were not around at that time. And that is one of the places where life insurance comes in. I think life insurance as an awareness, a lot of us are aware. It's not that it's a new product. It's been, everybody's aware that life insurance is there. And somehow we just don't get around, and there's a lot of inertia, which is one of the reasons where the insurance penetration in our country is fairly low. Now, there are a lot of life insurance products. Unfortunately, a lot of us think that life insurance products are complicated, but there are very simple solutions, right from a basic term product, which ensures that if something happens to you, your family gets a certain amount of money. There are critical illness products, which are along with life insurance, which take care of anything which happens to your health. There are a lot of savings products, which kind of give you both guaranteed and non-guaranteed kind of returns if you invest. And one thing about life insurance is it both covers your life as well as it allows you in your investments. So it's a slightly different kind of a product, and it gives you a very long and disciplined approach in terms of your savings. So when you look at it, and the way we look at it is, look, if you have to look at mortality, which if you have to look at morbidity, or if you have to look at, let's say, your retirement planning or longevity, there are products available in the market which the life insurance companies can take care of. And many a times we think that, look, this is complicated, but what I would like to say today is that it takes very, very small steps. These are very small decisions. You have to have certain basic products in place, and over a period of time, you will find that you have done your financial planning to meet your goals and secure your future.
Thank you so much, Mr. Badami. That was very insightful. It was such a nice point, taking small steps, small decisions to achieve your goals. So tell me, what are some of your resolutions that our viewers can make to secure their families?
So, look, I think all of us go through this in terms of financial planning and figuring out what is it that we can do as a resolution. Every year we think to say that, look, we'll take care of our health, or we will do something in terms of doing something different in life, or we do something in terms of our financial planning. And you will find a lot of these resolutions that we make fall by the wayside as we go along the natural course of life or business. But I think there are certain resolutions that each one of us needs to take on this Insurance Awareness Day. The first one is to actually take time off and do your goal planning, right? I think it's very simple to sit back and think through to say, look, what are the things that you want to do in life in terms of child education, in terms of how much you want to save for an independent retired life, whether you want to buy a larger house, and what you want to take care of your parents, money you want to set aside for yourself, for your travel. Many of these things actually don't take time. So you sit down one day, make a resolution to say that, look, I will put it down on paper. I will make sure that my goals and the kind of money that is required is very simply put down so that we are aware this is what we need to head to. The second thing that I would like each one of us to do is, a lot of us forget that, look, whatever savings we have is not known to our family, right? And what are the plans? So whatever assets you have got, it's important, like a little book of legacy, to be able to jot it down and make sure that your near or dear ones, or whoever is your trusted person, is aware of what are the assets and how your family will benefit, and what will go to whom. Because tomorrow you don't want a family who, if something happens to you, is anyway grieving, is to now think through in terms of what kind of financial planning and how to take care of the assets.
That's a great idea, yeah. I now have a quick question for you. What, according to you, is the biggest myth about life insurance?
So there are a lot of myths floating around, that you don't need it in a younger age, this is really, these products have a lot of complications. But I would pick up on the second one. I think a lot of people tend to feel life insurance products are very complicated, right? I think over the years, the way the insurance companies have gone about it, the way IRDA as a regulator has gone about it, the products have become much simpler, much more transparent and easy to purchase.
Okay, one last question. And when it comes to adequate life insurance, what is the common perception that coverage from one's employer is enough? Is that a myth too?
Let's not call it a myth. I think, look, it's a question of how you have assessed in terms of what kind of cover you really require. The cover which comes from a corporate depends from corporate to corporate depending upon their policies. What you really need to do is your human life value in terms of what is the kind of lifestyle that you would like to have for yourself or your family if you were to leave behind. So you need to, like I said, do a complete financial planning, assess yourself to say, look, what kind of cover, what kind of savings do I require if something were to happen to me, or if I were to look at a longer life, because in today's day and time the lifespans are increasing. So what you really need to do is actually assess it and then go back and see whether you are adequately covered. In most cases, and I can say that from the experience of having dealt with multiple customers, it's woefully inadequate when you look at the kind of company cover that you have got. You need to really think through how you would want to allocate funds across life insurance.
That's very interesting. So any last thoughts that you would like to leave our viewers with?
Yeah, I would say 3 things. 1, life insurance is not complicated. 2, there are multiple solutions available. And 3, don't delay the decision.
Thank you, Mr. Badami. Life Sessions by HDFC Life has been really insightful for me. Make your resolutions and act on them without delay. Whether it's taking care of your health through regular checks, working on your well-being in a very holistic way, or planning financially for your future. I'm definitely picking these as my resolutions. I hope you found your resolution to pick. It's 2021, and as a community, even though we are physically distanced, we've never been closer. Let's join hands to help our frontline workers and help our family and friends. And last but not the least, plan financially to help our own selves. I urge all of you to make the resolution. You can use the My Resolution platform created by HDFC Life to make your resolution and show your commitment towards securing the future of your loved ones. This is Tiska signing off from Life Sessions by HDFC Life. Hope to see you all very soon in the near future.